Welcome back to the Power of Coffee. Okay, so where are we now? This is page 190. Continuation of page 190. There was a little blackout, so it went off. So this is a continuation of page 190. So now we know that the case is over. Lamley has been compensated by the hospital. Okay, and Madeline is going home. She's on the flight now, going home to bury her. Okay, she's leaving Canada to bury her, and we are going back to the coffee house after the visit after the visit by the popular TV star Corbina Hansen. Something wonderful is happening in the coffee house. So that is where we are now. So let's go back to the coffee house where Martha is and find out what is happening after the visit of Corbina Hansen, the TV star. After Corbina's visit to the coffee house that rainy Thursday, our lives changed. The next day, fresh bread, cake, tea, and coffee was trending on social media. People wanted to know of our location. People wanted to know of our location, what we had on our menu, the prices of our meals, and then the prices of our meals. Okay, people wanted to know of our location, what we had on our menu, the prices of our meals, and then someone asked to interview me for her newspaper publication. Okay. After Corbina's visit to the coffee house that rainy Thursday, our lives changed. The next day, fresh bread, cake, tea, and coffee was trending on social media. People wanted to know of our location, what we had on our meals, on our menu, the prices of our meals, and then someone asked to interview me for her newspaper publication. She was a lifestyle journalist who went by the name of Dinah Aintree. She called me a day after Corbina's visit around 8 a.m. and then introduced herself and the newspaper agency she worked for. I knew the agency, the 24-hour Daily, but I didn't know of her. I agreed to speak with her at the coffee house later in the day. 2 hours later, she showed up with a cameraman and a makeup artist to brighten me up before the interview. I was appropriately dressed, but she thought I needed to glam up a bit more. We had an interview in the middle of the living room. We had the interview in the middle of the dining room. Okay, so now we're talking about Martha having an interview with a lifestyle journalist. And this interview was possible because her coffee shop was trending after Corbina Hansen, the popular TV star, came there. Okay? We had the interview in the middle of the dining room, which was fastly filled because it was still early at 10 a.m. I spoke about myself, given my name and age, and then my educational background. I also mentioned my family, my parents and siblings, albeit not by name. I only spoke of their professions and their presence in my life. In addition to this, I had to tell the world how I became the owner of the coffee house, which was now the #1 place to hang out in town. I mentioned that Betty was my former boss and original owner of the coffee shop, which she set up after 2 fires at the marketplace. Okay, I mentioned that Betty was my former boss and original owner of the coffee shop, which she set up. Okay, I mentioned that Betty was my former boss and original owner of the coffee shop, which she set up after 2 fires at the marketplace had consumed all her finances. Moreover, I spoke of Lamley, her daughter, and the lovely relationship that existed between them until their recent passing. 35 minutes later, it was over. But Dinah didn't just go. She asked for a cup of coffee and some cookies, and then gave her ruling on the meal. That interview was going to be the start of me being under the spotlight. However, my timidity wasn't going to like that, and neither was my family. I became a celebrity at church, and everyone was asking me to employ him or her. Mother was most uncomfortable because some nosy journalist came to the house one day to interview her, unannounced. Upon her return from Canada, the first thing Madeleine did was to contact the closest family she knew. Upon her return from Canada, the first thing Madeleine did was to contact the closest family she knew of Lamley. That was Martha. They met at her home-come-office and discussed the funeral service for her departed friend. It was going to be a simple one. With only Martha, her and Betty's 3 friends as mourners. Madeleine set it for a week's time so everyone could better prepare for it. Consequently, Martha informed Selassie and Anne about it, asking them to get the news to Belinda, who was out of town. Beside the funeral service, they talked about the court case and the compensation paid to Lamley by the St. James Specialist Hospital. I plan to establish an NGO in their honor. I already thought of a name, the Lamley Betty Foundation, Madeleine said as they sat at the table of her study. That's nice, Martha remarked. So, how are you doing? Madeleine said in a light tone. I'm well, thank you, Martha replied with a gentle smile, not having much to say. So this marks the end of the 190th page of The Power of Coffee. This is a story about Martha, who is a university undergraduate without a job. She finally gets a job at a coffee house, but one day the owner of the coffee house suddenly dies. And then she's left to run the business all by herself. So she recruits some friends from high school, and along with others, she reopens the coffee shop. One day a celebrity comes in there, a popular TV actor comes in there, and then makes the place go viral. So this is where we are now in the story. We learn that Betty, the owner of the coffee shop, died. We also learn that Lamley, her daughter, died as well. And Madeleine Boyson, who is Lamley's friend and lawyer, went to Canada and got Lamley's body back for burial. So that is where we are now in the story, The Power of Coffee. Join me next time for the next 10 pages to make the 200th page of the story, The Power of Coffee. See you next time.